Hey NHL fans, the wait is over. The National Hockey League gets underway on Tuesday, October 11th, and last season, 8 WagerTalk handicappers went over 50 units in the NHL. To celebrate the start of the season, we are offering a 7-day NHL package for only $49. Yes, that's only $7 a day, and it will be valid through Sunday, October 9th. Don't worry, NBA fans, we'll be running the same special for you next week.
All right, guys, welcome in on a very happy Friday here as Week 6 college football. It's going to be a fun night tonight. It starts off here on a Friday. What a pretty interesting card this weekend. We've got 3 more games we're going to break down for you. Kind of the do-or-die moment, I think, here for some of these teams. And I can't think of 3 guys better to break them down with than the Friday crew, as the Bryans are here. Bryan Leonard, Bryan Power, and of course Adam Trigger popping in all to break down a couple of these games here and get you ready for a monster and profitable Week 6 in college football. Bryan Leonard continuing to dominate, my friend. I know you're ready. You got a lot going on. I know number 1 handicapper in hockey. You have been phenomenally profitable over the years. You're getting ready for an NHL season. What else you got for us over at WagerTalk.com this week?
Yeah, we've got a nice card up. Had a nice winner today on my Cleveland Guardians. So that puts us 1-0 in the baseball playoffs. So a good day today for that. Looking at college football for the weekend, we've got 5 plays up right now, including a 5% play. And we're loving this Sunday NFL card, just checking up some injury information, and we'll have more information on that coming up. And you mentioned hockey right around the corner. In fact, a couple games going the next 2 days. So excited for the season, excited for all of the betting opportunities.
Yeah, you got to love it. This is a wonderful but hectic time of year, but it is also an extremely profitable time of the year. Major League Baseball playoffs, college football, college basketball, NBA just around the corner. Bryan Power, I know your card is ready to roll here this weekend. YouTube been killing it. NFL, of course, also extremely impressive. So what do you got locked and loaded for us this weekend?
Yeah, the Friday Night Mojo is very real for me here. Thank you for having me on the show, Joe. Each and every week, we are 8-1 with Friday college football this year. 6-0 the last 3 weeks, so that's 3 2-0 sweeps. We're going to try to make it 4 in a row tonight with 2 plays. Got some Major League Baseball, including the game that's about ready to start. And then we got another one tonight. Full college football for Saturday, wall to wall. Probably going to add another play too after we're done here. NFL, we've already got 1 best bet up. Speaking of best bets, 7 straight 4% best bets in college. We have 3 of those already locked and loaded for tomorrow. So really excited for the weekend, Joe.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, it is a real thing this Friday. Just as long as he's not betting rice, we're good here on the show. Adam Trigger, what is going on, my man? I know you invested on the diamond here, of course, this weekend here. It's a big time of year for the MLB, KBO for you. But also those 5%ers. I know you got one locked and loaded tonight, man. What's going on at Wager Talk?
Yeah, so I'm on the Phillies right now, as I keep checking the score. That's 4% play that's going right now for Major League Baseball. My only baseball play of the day. But yeah, 5% play, college football tonight. I've only had 2 all year long so far. Both have won in blowout fashion. And hopefully we make it 3-0 on those tonight. They're 5-1 going back to last year. Like I said, the first 2 have been easy winners. I hope we've got another easy one tonight. And Sunday, 5% NFL is up. So the football 5%ers have been on a great run, 70% dating back to the end of last year. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the weekend. Baseball playoffs are going. So yeah, it's a great time of year. Anytime that there's more to choose from on the betting menu is always going to be great. You know, you always want those options. So yeah, it's great to have everything going right now.
It's a good time of year here, guys, and we're going to see if we can keep that profit train rolling with these 3 games. As first up, what better than to watch Nick Saban kick the teeth in of I'm sorry, did I say that? It wasn't supposed to be like that. Nick Saban taking on Texas A&M, Bama, and Jimbo here, 23.5. They were 24s for a lot of the week. Then it started to creep down here a little bit as we get closer. 23, 22 and a half. Slowly but surely, maybe not a whole lot of confidence here with Bama running them over in the marketplace, but find that hard to believe. So, Bryan Leonard, start us off here with Bama taking on A&M here. Are you a believer in Nick Saban getting even here for Jimbo's comments?
Well, I'm always a believer in a guy who everyone knows all year long that this team is the best team for the most part, and they continue to jack up the prices on him, and he continues to cover the spread. One of the most amazing things I've ever seen. He's the Bill Belichick of college football. I like him here against a Texas A&M team that I want nothing to do with. The reason why the line's gone down, I've got a nice tweet from Will with the WagerTalk, and he talks about the possibility coming out now that Alabama is going to rest their starting quarterback. And when you have a Heisman Trophy winner who is not going to play, the line's going to go down. The problem is Texas A&M is a team I'm not looking to back at all. I love this Alabama team. I liked what was done last week with the backup quarterback. And all week long, since the information is coming out so late, Texas A&M has been planning on facing the starting quarterback for Alabama most of the week. So they're not getting a full week of practice against the backup quarterback. I think it's great that the information came out now after they've done all their work. Major revenge game here for Alabama as they lost last year to the Tide, 41-38. And afterwards, both coaches went on and publicly accused each other of paying players, starting with Texas A&M. So I think if there's any way that Alabama could pour on the price here and continue to run up the score, I think it will be. Take a look at A&M. They've been outscored by 11 against 4 FBS teams this season. Opponents lead them in first downs overall, 105-91. So they're not able to maintain drives down the field. And that's something you've got to do against this Alabama team. You've got to be able to take some time off the clock by moving the change. I don't think A&M could do it. Alabama has a huge edge on the ground in this game. They're averaging 7.39 yards per rush, which is a reason why I'm not as concerned that the quarterback will likely be sitting out. And this Texas A&M team just has not stopped anybody on the ground all year. Imagine the Tide are -3 in turnovers. They forced just 2 on the season, but yet they permitted just 1 touchdown pass. Alabama's a team that usually overpowers the opposition. They win the turnover battle in just about every game they play. They haven't done it this year. So as good as they have been, they haven't been at their best. I look for them to come out and play a really good game here. And I think Alabama tries to run up the score, which is something that he will do against good teams. He normally doesn't do against bad teams. But considering what went down between the two coaches last year, they will run up the score in this one.
Yeah, it's given the opportunity, we know Saban, he running right through it. So it should be interesting. The problem is, I don't know, is it a fair fight, Bryan Power? Do you think, Jimbo, is this A&M defense capable of keeping this thing within 1 score, if that? Can they even pull out the upset, in your opinion?
I think 1 score or pull the upset is pretty ambitious there, Joe. I don't think A&M's going to be able to do that.
What do you think this is, rice?
No, there you go, Joe. Okay, here we go. What I do have for you, I'm not going to let you fluster me. I am going to get to these revenge trends, whether you let me or not, Joe. You're going to like this, okay? So, Bryan Leonard hit on it. Nick Saban playing with revenge, his feelings towards Jimbo Fisher. Let's talk about that a little bit more. When he has revenge from the previous season, Nick Saban, 14-1 straight up and 11-4 against the number at Alabama. Average cover margin in those games, 6 points. When he's playing with revenge and favored by double digits, 6-0 against the number, covering by 8.5 points per game. Bryan Leonard mentioned the prospect of running up the score to really stick it to Jimbo Fisher. Well, in those 6 games where Saban's played with revenge and been favored by double digits, covered every time, Bama has outscored their opponents 130-27 in the second half. So he keeps his foot on the gas pedal, and as we all know, his feelings on Jimbo Fisher. They're not exchanging Christmas cards this year, or probably next year for that matter. But here's the thing. I don't see a ton of value in Alabama at this number, believe it or not. It's a real hold your nose situation. A&M was in the preseason top 10, believe it or not. I know that we talked about last week the lack of scoring. So here's the thing. A&M is not going to score a lot of points in this game. They did give up 42 to Mississippi State last week, but there were 2 non-offensive touchdowns included there. Last week when they were against a terrible Arkansas defense and had Bryce Young starting, I did like Alabama over the team total. They hit that. This is very scary, but this week, believe it or not, I'm saying Alabama's going to stay under the team total of 37.5. They could still cover the spread. I don't think A&M's going to put up more than, 14 points? Tops? So it'll be right around the number then, I guess. But, yeah, I think Alabama will stay under the team total of 37.5. Maybe it's a slow start.
I love it. All right. No, it's a great approach here. What do you think? Talk to me here, Trig, with this. Saban A&M, this feels like a game I think you would look only one way. And which way might that be?
Well, yeah, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. But I agree with Bryan. I'm not getting in it. There's just a weird spot, and I'm not getting enough out of the dog to feel real comfortable putting my money on it, even though that's the way I would look. So I'll start with the fact that Alabama in this spot, not the spot like playing Texas A&M after losing to them last season, but the spot they come in, I would want to bet against them. They let Texas pretty much almost beat them earlier this year. Last week, Arkansas hung around in a game that they could have squashed them. I understand that they ended up covering, but they kind of let Arkansas hang around. And, Texas A&M, they beat Arkansas. In my opinion, they're still better than Texas. So, I think it comes down to the quarterbacks and how you value them. But I don't see a huge drop off for this game in terms of what Alabama's going to do from Young to Milroe. But at the same time, I don't see a drop off from Max Johnson to Haynes King either. I know King came in and was really not great for 2 games, but Johnson hasn't been great either. And I think King will be better going forward, having gotten benched and then having a chance to sort of sit and watch for a few weeks and then get back in there. Now, it's unfortunate for him that he has to go back in there against Alabama. It would have been nice for King to be able to kind of come in after the bye week, because this is not exactly this on the road against Alabama is not exactly the spot that you want to come back in if you're a young quarterback. But, at the same time, we talked about Texas A&M's preseason ranking. Their defense is elite or bordering on elite. I think you have to acknowledge that. And there's a good trend in Jimbo's favor. He's only been an 18-point dog twice, 18-point or more dog twice in his career. He's 2-0 against the spread in those games. Of course, last year won outright as an 18.5-point dog in this game. This will be the biggest he's ever been an underdog in his career. So I don't know that Texas A&M just comes in here and gets killed. I actually think you're going to see an effort from them. And, whether that means they lose by, 30, I have this more like losing by 20, Joe. I think I'd take the points. I think this is going to land, like Bryan said, it's like there's not a ton of value, but if you force me to make a pick here, I think this is going to land on that side of the points. Texas A&M's got enough redeeming qualities, and the kid behind Haynes King, Connor Wayman, is pretty good. He's a freshman, but he could be, he could see some action in this game. It's a tough call. I'd still take the points.
Still leaning towards taking the points there. Don't forget, Saban never forgets. He certainly ain't forgetting that loss he took against A&M last year by any stretch of the imagination, but he's going to have to do it without the Heisman winner this weekend. And we now switch gears to another interesting game here on the weekend. The ACC featuring NC State and Florida State, with NC State laying the field goal here. 50.5 is what the number is. And I got to believe, above the shoulders, both of these teams are trying to figure out where it went all so wrong here, because certainly NC State not living up to the hype that we thought this team was going to be, and they got a lot of it early in the season, and boy, oh boy, they were a 6.5, 6-point favorite last week, Florida State against Wake Forest, and well, that didn't work out all that well, Bryan Leonard. So what gives this week here? Are you backing Florida State as a dog, or is NC State the play for you?
Unfortunately, I think this line is pretty right in this one. Normally, I'm looking to play a team that is comparable from a home loss revenge. Last year, Florida State lost at home 28-14. The line is 3, basically what a home advantage would be in college football. But the Seminoles, despite being 4-1 on the season, they only have a 118-106 first down advantage over the opposition. So they're not able to sustain those drives that they want to. And this is a very good defense. And NC State, impressive on the defensive side, only allowing 15.4 points per game. And the opposing quarterback, a 102.36 passer rating. That said, I had a big play on NC State against Clemson last week. I watch every single Clemson game. I'm still not a believer that they're back to where they were before. They still have some problems. NC State was not able to move the ball at all on the Clemson defense. Yes, the Clemson defense is pretty good, not like it was in years past, but I do have some concerns about this offense for NC State. Florida State's got probably better athletes here, but the line is telling me this game is a toss-up, and I can't find an advantage here to give either way. Slight lean to the under, but probably won't be getting involved in this one.
Yeah, it's a tough spot actually for both teams that could absolutely use a win here, Bryan Power, but we know what that means. The game will probably end in a tie. How are you looking at this matchup with these two teams that, for many aspects, maybe not where they wish they were right now this season?
Well, I'm going to say a lot of the same things that Bryan Leonard said. I'll just try to say them differently here because I've got a pretty similar read. This is a tough game to call. You mentioned last week, Joe, both teams losing by 10. I will point out Florida State outgained Wake Forest 6.2 to 4.8 yards on a per-play basis. They should not have been favored like that against Wake, but I think they played a little bit better than the final score showed. NC State, on the other hand, they seem to be a little lucky to be 4-1. They've been outgained in 3 games, Clemson last week, and then in wins over Texas Tech and East Carolina. And they were 1-6 ATS the week after facing Clemson as well. So those trends don't set up well for the Wolfpack, but some others do. They've covered 6 straight times off an ATS loss, 6 straight times at home against Florida State, and they're 15-1 straight up their last 16 home games overall. So I'm assuming the public's going to like them laying a short number, even though Florida State's covered 4 straight as a dog. This is a very hard one, like Bryan said, to pick as far as the side is concerned. I don't like the side at all, can't like them all. But the number the over-under, has trickled down a little bit, and maybe for good reason. Unders hit 6 of the last 7 meetings between these two. Bryan touched on the NC State defense, the NC State offense. Yeah, I think this is probably a low-scoring game. Under would be my lean.
Under it is. Yeah, they couldn't, they were terrible on converting 3rd downs and 4th downs, and meanwhile they couldn't stop Sam Hartman last week here, Adam Trigger, but Florida State's getting points in this spot. Who do you like to bounce back? Who do you trust more in this situation?
Well, I don't trust Florida State, but at the same time, I mean, I'm actually glad, Joe, the number is what it is, because I agree, like Bryan said, there's just not much value here, and I was able to kind of quickly cross this one off. If Florida State was catching a couple more points, I'd have to give them real thought here because, they are improving. My problem is I'm just not a huge believer in Norvell as a head coach. So they've become more of a team that I either look to play against or not play at all. NC State, I don't know that they've been disappointing. I think it's been disappointing that they maybe haven't won games as convincingly as one might expect, but 4-1 with a road loss to Clemson is really not a disappointment. I mean, I don't think they were really expected to win that game on the road last week. And, it went in the 4th quarter. It was a 7-point game. Clemson pulled away at home, which is what you kind of expect a Clemson team to do. Now, I'm not as high on Clemson this year either. So, I'm not that doesn't really I'm not just going to give NC State a pass for losing the game the way they did. And as Bryan said, they struggled to move the ball, and that's a concern. NC State defensively only allowing 15.4 points per game, 280 yards per game. So, like, the Wolfpack have some redeeming qualities, and I still have my reasons as to why I want to play against Florida State. But in this spot, with FSU coming off the loss, I would have looked to back Florida State. But at this number, there's just no value. So, I mean, I guess I lean Florida State, but at 3, I don't even really want to pin myself to that, because I just don't think you're getting the right number. 4 or 5 maybe, but at 3, it's a lean toward Florida State, but I'm going to pass.
All right, there you go. Leaves us with one more ACC battle to break down for you guys, and we're going to take a look at the U. 3.5, 3s, 4s, somewhere in there. 66 is the total. Shocker. 4 o'clock Eastern time kickoff as North Carolina, Mac Brown, who never seems to like to put back-to-back wins together ever in conference play. But the U, I don't know, maybe a little time off is what Mario Cristobal needed to figure out his team, but don't feel like either of these defenses are going to stop anybody here, Trig. So tell me, is it the total we're looking at in this? Because it certainly feels like we should be looking at a total in this game.
Joe, I like Miami here. I think that they just got embarrassed by Middle Tennessee. They've had the week off. I think the remedy here, Joe, is just playing North Carolina. Their defense is atrocious, and now they're getting credit for shutting down a Virginia Tech offense that's horrific. So you're going to have, you look at the score, and it's like, oh, well, maybe they've gotten it together a little bit defensively, but Virginia Tech's as bad offensively as almost, as most Power 5 teams at this point. They haven't moved the ball at all, and their offensive numbers offhand, I think they've like barely broken 20. They're like season highs, like 27 against Boston College, I think, if I remember that correctly. Mm-hmm. Point is, Miami, they've been that Middle Tennessee State loss looks really bad, Joe, but they haven't played a conference game yet. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have a little bit of a new life scenario here, knowing that, they're going into ACC play 0-0. And that is something that I think Cristobal can use to sort of get his team on the same page and get them focused for this game here. And it come back to the North Carolina defense, who I don't think is going to stop Miami. Van Dyke's probably going to get benched if he doesn't play well to start this game, and I think his team may rally around him a little bit. And a stat that I found that I really like, of all the teams in the ACC, Miami's allowed the fewest pass plays of 10 or more yards. They haven't really given up the explosive play if you throw out last week's game against 2 weeks ago against Middle Tennessee State, which was just a complete abomination. I don't even know how you really explain that, but of course, there was just a lot of stuff, I guess, going on in the Florida area and whatnot. But so I don't really know how to explain that loss. But what I do think, Joe, is Miami's going to have a bye week to focus. They're going to come in here. You have North Carolina coming in a little overconfident. I expect Miami to move the ball. And if the number was better, it would be a best bet. Since the number sits where it is, I'll just say lay the 3.5. But I think this number is what it is for a reason. It feels like a little bit of the book taking a position here to me, Joe. So I like the Hurricanes.
All right, he's back in the Hurricanes. Bryan Leonard, how about you? Confidence that Cristobal figured this thing out and they handle business against one of the worst defenses in the ACC? Or is Mac Brown in North Carolina the way you're looking?
I want no part of either one of these teams right now. It's very disappointing. Last year, these two teams got together and scored 87 points. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's going to happen again. Despite some struggles against lesser competition, the Tar Heels' only loss on the season was against Notre Dame, a team that is playing a little bit better as the season's gone on, and they obviously have quality players on that team. But, North Carolina has lost the first down battle on the season against a very weak schedule, 128 to 123. That's allowing about 25 first downs every game against bad offensive teams. So Miami should be able to move the ball on them here a little bit. They're not that bad offensively, but I'm having a hard time they've lost 2 straight games. Not only the game to Middle Tennessee State, which was a total embarrassment, but they also lost to Texas A&M. And I know Adam is more of an A&M fan than I am at this point, but they only scored 9 points against A&M. They lost 17-9. That is a concern here. Miami, despite playing the likes of Bethune-Cookman, Southern Miss, Texas A&M, and Middle Tennessee State, the Hurricanes are allowing 0.35 yards per play more than they gained themselves. Don't like either one of these defenses here. North Carolina, sure, they can get those big plays once in a while, but like Adam said, Miami hasn't given them up. I don't trust either one of these teams. I don't want anything to do with it. This is going to be a severe pass for me.
All right, severe pass. Maybe we can suck Bryan Power into giving us a totals play here. What do you think, Bryan? You think defenses impress or do quarterbacks impress? Because I think that's ultimately what it's going to come down to. What do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, I'm with Trig. I like Miami in this game. I know it's kind of ugly. It's an ugly team to lay points with, but off a bye, I just think if they don't show up here, my goodness, what do you have here? I mean, this was a team that was supposed to win its division at the start of the year. Triple revenge? Does that not motivate the U here? They've got 2 losses in Chapel Hill the last 3 years that were by a field goal. In the A&M Alabama breakdown, Trig, he talked about, a benching maybe leading to some motivation. Van Dyke got benched in that Middle Tennessee game. Maybe he comes out hot here. You certainly hope he would. The North Carolina defense, I think we all agree, is atrocious. They allowed 107 points combined to Appalachian State and Notre Dame. I think Miami can put up points here. I don't know what the heck happened against Middle Tennessee, but they've had 2 weeks to figure it out. I agree that the win over Virginia Tech doesn't mean much for North Carolina. Lay the points with the U. Van Dyke was a first-round – they were talked up as a first-round draft choice coming into the season. Has he fallen that far? I think it's a buy low spot.
Yeah, Mario. It's called the Mario Cristobal effect. Just let him come in and watch your draft stock just crap. All right, guys, there you go. You got 3 games in effect here. 2 in the ACC, 1 in the SEC. It's a great card, though, here. You got a few games here tonight. Trig told you he's got a big 5% best bet up. But all 3 of these gentlemen are locked and loaded with their best bets here at WagerTalk.com. Take advantage of those 3-day, 7-day, and, of course, 30-day all-access packages. That'll get you their best bets across all the sports betting landscape. So head over to WagerTalk.com, visit Trig, visit Bryan Power, visit Bryan Leonard. Hop on board here today as we go around the horn and figure out if there's any games in this Week 6 these guys might like a little bit more than the rest. So, Bryan Leonard, kick us off here, my man. Which way you leaning?
Very simple for me. 2 of the games I had no opinion on. The one I did was Alabama, and we're down below the key of 23 and 24 now. We're seeing 22.5s out there. So this is the way I'm going to go. I've got 5 plays up on the site as I gave the clients, and hopefully we can get this down to 21, and I'll give it to clients too, because I think there's still some value there. Just Alabama. If Alabama's motivated to win, I'm not going to bet against Alabama. I know the quarterback won't be there. I don't think it's going to be a huge drop-off. They've been able to run the football, and everybody they played this year, they'll be able to run the ball on Texas A&M. Give me the favorite here. It's not often we get Alabama at what I consider a reasonable price because this Texas A&M team is somebody I'm looking to avoid at all costs.
All right, there it is. Bama getting it done for Bryan Leonard. How about it, Bryan Power? Tell me, where are you looking here and leaning for a best bet? I can't wait to hear this because you already gave me a teaser and I'm throwing up in my mouth already. So let me hear what you got, man. Come on, let me hear it. Who is it?
First off, Joe, I always appreciate your kind words here on the program. You know, it's just they are what is solely responsible for that 8-1 year-to-date record on Friday night, 6-0 in the last 3. Without you, Joe, I couldn't have done it. I'll send you half the winnings at the end of the season. What do you say?
Thank you.
Here's one that only you would love, Joe. Best bet, giving it to clients. Let's take the points with Akron this week. They are getting double digits against my alma mater, Ohio U. I play no favorites, no bias on the program here. I'll play against my own family if I think the number's right. So here's the deal with Ohio, okay? They lost last week in overtime, 31-24 to Kent State. They covered as 12-point dogs. What's interesting about that? Well, game should not have gone to overtime because the OU defense gave up 736 total yards and 36 first downs. And it's not like the offense put up 600-plus yards that game. They put up 450-ish, which is pretty good, but they were outgained by almost 300 yards in a game that went to overtime. You should not go to overtime, obviously, if you're outgained by 300 yards. And that was not, I regret to inform fellow graduates of Ohio University, the first time that OU has played bad defense this year. 2 weeks ago against FCS Fordham, they allowed over 600 total yards and 52 points. They did win that game, 59-52, but they were actually trailing 49-38 going into the fourth quarter. I'm not sure if you're going to find a defense this bad asked to lay double digits all season. This is one of the worst defenses being asked to win by double digits you'll find all 2022. Now, I know Akron's not good, Joe. I know you'll poke fun at that. But last 2 weeks, they've basically been dead even with Liberty and Bowling Green in terms of total yards. Liberty and Bowling Green are better teams than Ohio. I would throw out those results against Michigan State and Tennessee. Akron was just happy to get the money there, the paycheck. They didn't care. But they would have beat BG last week if it was not for an early pick six. So since Frank Solich stepped down, his successor, Tim Albin, has just one double-digit win. I do not think OU is going to win this game by double digits. Take Akron and the points, Joe. You'll enjoy it.
I didn't realize the Joe Moorhead fan club was up here on a Friday.
Yep.
That is outstanding. Very nice, man. I am impressed. You know what? I'm rooting for you. All right, just don't bet Rice, and we're fine. Okay. All right, talk to me here, Trig. Best bet. Where are you heading, man? Where are you going this week for us?
Best bet's a game we talked about earlier. I like the Miami Hurricanes. I've been looking at the way the kind of money has moved for this game and where the splits are, and it really feels like the odds makers are taking a little bit of a position here because they've attracted a ton of North Carolina money, and it looks like they're inviting more. So I kind of agree with that. I've played against North Carolina a bunch this year so far. They're a team that I've sort of targeted as a play against, and this seems like another spot to do so coming off a week where they held Virginia Tech to 10 points. I think that's a fraudulent result. I think that's far more of a reflection on how poor Virginia Tech is offensively than it is North Carolina's defense being any good. I expect the Miami defense to be able to at least limit the big plays, which I think in turn limits North Carolina. And I think we're going to get a better effort from Van Dyke at quarterback. He was benched last week, as Bryan Power pointed out. I think he's getting benched this week if he doesn't come out strong. And with the teams that have moved it on North Carolina so far, there's no reason Miami can't do the same. 2 weeks to prepare. Miami's first ACC game. I think Cristobal is going to rally the troops a little bit here after that ugly loss to Middle Tennessee. And I expect Miami to cover. I really like them to win, but I expect them to cover as well, Joe. So best bet for the show, Miami minus the points.
Well, they fixed that secondary because I'm with you, man. Give me the year to get back on track. This is not a spot that Mac Brown has excelled at over the years, but should be an entertaining game. Not as entertaining as Akron and Bryan Power's pick here, plus 11. I wonder how much that check that you had to write to your alma mater there. I'm wondering if there was a little extra in it because of what you just said about them. Bryan Leonard, Alabama, laying the 22.5, and of course Trig going with the U. And don't forget, guys, their best bets all throughout the weekend across all the sports available right now at WagerTalk.com. Visit Adam Trigger's 5% best bet already tonight in here. You heard Bryan Power tell you. He just doesn't lose, thanks to me, on Fridays. It really doesn't get any better than that. So go get his bets now at WagerTalk.com. And, of course, Bryan Leonard, locked, loaded, baseball, NFL, college football. Don't forget the NHL just around the corner for him as well. So plenty of opportunities and no reason not to make it a very profitable Week 6 in college football, guys. So on behalf of the Bryans, Leonard and Power, as well as Adam Trigger, guys, we appreciate you hanging with us this week. Make sure you hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner on YouTube. Subscribe. Download the brand new WagerTalk TV app on demand for yourself, and make plans to come back and join us again next week as we get ready. Week 7 of the college football season. Until then, thanks so very much. Best of luck with your plays this weekend, guys. We'll talk to you again soon. Good luck.
Hey NHL fans, the wait is over. The National Hockey League gets underway on Tuesday, October 11th, and last season, 8 WagerTalk handicappers went over 50 units in the NHL. To celebrate the start of the season, we are offering a 7-day NHL package for only $49. Yes, that's only $7 a day, and it will be valid through Sunday, October 9th. Don't worry, NBA fans, we'll be running the same special for you next week.